The sky over Seoul was unusually quiet that morning. The sun rose lazily, casting golden light over the bustling city. People hurried to work, cars honked impatiently, and the hum of daily life filled the air. But by midday, everything changed. A strange shadow passed over the city. At first, people thought it was just a cloud blocking the sun. Then, they looked up. Hovering above the skyline was something enormous, a spacecraft unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It stretched across the horizon, its metallic surface shimmering faintly, as though alive. The ship didn't make a sound, but its presence was deafening. Jae-min stood on the rooftop of his research facility, staring at the massive object in awe. He was a young scientist, barely into his 30s, with sharp eyes and a mind always racing with ideas. His lab coat flapped gently in the breeze as he adjusted his glasses, trying to take in every detail. Inside the building, alarms began to blare. Colleagues rushed around, shouting orders and checking monitors. No one knew what this thing was or where it had come from. All they could do was watch as smaller ships detached from the main vessel, descending toward different parts of the city. Hae-jin, Jaemin's older sister, was already out on the streets when the smaller ships arrived. She worked as a journalist, chasing stories wherever they led her. Today, she carried her camera slung over one shoulder, ready to document whatever happened next. When the alien crafts landed, she pushed through the crowd of onlookers, snapping photos and recording video. The doors of the ships opened slowly, revealing tall figures stepping out. They were unlike any humans, thin, almost skeletal, with glowing blue eyes that seemed to pierce through everyone who looked at them. Their skin was smooth and pale, reflecting the sunlight in an eerie way. Hae-jin froze for a moment, her heart pounding. This was history unfolding right in front of her. One of the aliens raised a hand, and immediately, all noise stopped. It was as if someone had flipped a switch. Even the wind died down. Then came a voice not spoken aloud, but heard inside everyone's minds. "You call yourselves intelligent," the voice said, cold and mocking. "Yet your world is chaotic, your technology primitive. You squabble among yourselves while we have mastered the stars." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some people fell to their knees, overwhelmed by fear. Others clenched their fists, anger boiling beneath the surface. Hae-jin steadied her camera, determined not to miss a single moment. She noticed how the alien spoke not just to those gathered here, but to the entire planet. Somehow, everyone could hear the words, no matter where they were. The alien continued, its tone dripping with disdain. "We are the Velith. We have observed you for centuries. Your wars, your greed, your ignorance, we see it all. And now, we will show you the true meaning of power." With that, the Velith lifted their hands again, and beams of light shot out from their fingertips. Buildings crumbled, streets cracked open, and explosions rocked the city. Panic erupted as people ran in every direction, screaming for safety. Hae-jin dove behind a car, clutching her camera tightly. Her hands trembled, but she kept filming. She couldn't stop. Someone needed to record this nightmare. Back at the research facility, Jae-min watched the chaos unfold on a security monitor. His colleagues argued about what to do, but he remained silent, deep in thought. Something about the Velith's arrival bothered him. Why would such advanced beings waste time humiliating humanity? There had to be more to this than met the eye. As the day dragged on, reports poured in from other cities around the world. The Velith weren't just in Seoul, they were everywhere. Every major city had been visited. Every government contacted. Their message was clear. Humanity was weak, insignificant, and unworthy of attention. To drive the point home, the Velith performed random acts of destruction, leaving scars on the earth as reminders of their dominance. By evening, the initial shock gave way to despair. News channels played endless footage of the devastation. Social media buzzed with theories, prayers, and cries for help. Governments held emergency meetings, but no one knew how to fight back against an enemy so far beyond human understanding. Jae-min returned home late that night, exhausted but unable to sleep. He sat at his desk, staring blankly at the wall. Nearby, his phone buzzed with messages from Hyejin. She had sent him clips of her recordings, along with a note. "They think we're nothing, but we can't let them win." Her words stirred something in him. Maybe she was right. Humanity might be flawed, divided, and scared, but it wasn't powerless. Somewhere, buried beneath all the fear, was a spark of hope. Jae-min resolved to find it to prove the Valith wrong. As dawn broke over the ruined city, Jae-min headed back to the lab. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing for certain. Humanity wasn't going down without a fight. The next morning, the world woke up to a grim reality. Smoke still hung heavy in the air over Seoul, and other cities around the globe bore similar scars. The Valith's message had been loud and clear: humanity was weak, unworthy, and beneath their notice. But Jae-min refused to believe it. As he walked through the quiet halls of the research facility, his mind raced with questions. Why would such advanced beings bother humiliating humans? What did they truly want? Inside the lab, Jae-min found Eun-woo already at work. Eun-woo was an engineer known for his brilliance and unconventional ideas. His desk was cluttered with robotic parts, wires, and half-finished projects. He looked up as Jae-min entered, his face pale but determined. "They're mocking us," Eun-woo said without preamble. "Acting like gods. I don't care what they say, we can't just sit here and take it." "Lan, we have said. Robotic. In his monic. We have to say work. Our monique." Jae-min nodded, pulling up a chair. "I've been thinking about that. Their arrogance, it feels forced. Like they're trying too hard to make us feel small. What if they're scared of something?" Eun-woo raised an eyebrow. "Scared? Of us? That's a stretch." "Maybe not directly of us," Jae-min replied. "But what if they're testing us, pushing us to see how we react?" Before Eun-woo could respond, Sua joined them. She was a linguist who specialized in decoding ancient languages and alien communication patterns. Her sharp eyes scanned the room before settling on Jae-min. "I've been analyzing their language," she said. "It's complex, layered. They're not just speaking, they're broadcasting signals embedded in their words. I think they're scanning us, learning everything they can." Jae-min leaned forward, intrigued. "Signals? Like what?" Sua hesitated, then pulled out her tablet. On the screen was a series of strange waveforms. These are energy signatures tied to their speech. They match patterns we've seen in quantum reactors. Whatever they're doing, it's more than just talking. A spark of realization lit up Jae-min's face. Quantum reactors. That's it. Their technology runs on quantum energy. If we can tap into that same source, maybe we can level the playing field. Eun-woo frowned. "That's easier said than done. Quantum energy is unstable. We barely understand it ourselves. We don't have a choice," Jae-min said firmly. "If we don't try, we'll never know what we're capable of." Meanwhile, Hyejin was piecing together her own puzzle. After surviving the attack in Seoul, she traveled to other affected cities, interviewing survivors and gathering evidence. In Tokyo, she met a man who claimed to have seen the Valith hesitate before destroying a building. In London, she spoke to a woman who swore the aliens' weapons malfunctioned briefly during their assault. Each story added another layer to the mystery. Hyejin shared her findings with Jae-min over a secure video call. "They're not perfect," she told him. "Their tech has flaws. Maybe not big ones, but enough for us to exploit." Jae-min nodded thoughtfully. "We're working on that. There's something else you should know. Their language isn't just communication. It's also a tool. They're using it to probe us, learn our weaknesses." Hyejin's eyes widened. "So, they're not just here to crush us, they're studying us." "Exactly," Jae-min confirmed. which means we need to act fast. If we figure out how to counter their scans, we might stand a chance. Back at the lab, the team worked tirelessly. Days turned into nights as they pored over data, ran simulations, and tested theories. Sua focused on cracking the Valith's linguistic code, while Yunwu experimented with modifying existing AI systems to interact with quantum energy. Jaemin coordinated their efforts, keeping everyone motivated despite the mounting pressure. One evening, after hours of trial and error, Yunwu let out a triumphant shout. "Got it!" He held up a small device, glowing faintly with blue light. "This baby can detect and amplify quantum signals. If we sync it with Sua's decoder, we might be able to disrupt their systems." Sua rushed over, her face lighting up with excitement. "Let me hook it up to my system. We'll run a simulation to see how it interacts with their language patterns." As the machine hummed to life, Jaemin felt a flicker of hope. For the first time since the Valith's arrival, they had something tangible, a weapon against the invaders. But hope came with danger. Amplifying quantum energy was risky. One wrong move could destabilize the entire system, causing catastrophic damage. "We'll need to test it carefully," Jaemin cautioned. "If this goes wrong, it won't just affect us, it could harm innocent people." Yunwu nodded grimly. "We'll start small. Baby steps." While the scientists worked, Heijin continued her mission on the ground. In New York City, she stumbled upon a group of civilians organizing a resistance movement. Armed with makeshift weapons and sheer determination, they planned to strike back at the Valith. Heijin filmed their preparations, moved by their courage. One of the leaders, a young man named Kyung-soo, approached her. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with a fierce look in his eyes. "You're the journalist, right?" he asked. "The one documenting everything?" Heijin nodded. "I'm just trying to tell the truth." Kyung-soo gestured toward the crowd. "Then, tell the world this. We're not giving up. Not today. Not ever." Inspired by their resolve, Heijin decided to stay with the group for a while. She wanted to capture their story not just as a record, but as proof that humanity still had fight left in it. Days later, the team in Seoul made a breakthrough. By combining Yunwu's device with Sua's linguistic analysis, they managed to create a prototype capable of disabling a small section of the Valith's shield. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Jaemin stared at the results, his heart pounding. "This changes everything," he whispered. "If we scale this up, we could hit them where it hurts." But scaling up meant taking risks. The prototype required overriding safety protocols designed to prevent accidents. Jaemin hesitated, knowing the consequences could be dire. Yet, as he thought of Heejin's reports and the faces of those fighting back, he realized there was no other option. "We'll do it," he said finally, "but we'll proceed carefully. Every step counts." As the team prepared for the next phase, Jaemin couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something monumental. Humanity had been pushed to its limits, but now it was pushing back. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear. The Valith wouldn't underestimate them. Again, the lab was alive with tension. Every piece of equipment hummed with energy, and the air felt heavy with anticipation. Jaemin stood in the center of it all, staring at the prototype device that had taken weeks of relentless work to build. It wasn't much to look at, a cluster of wires, circuits, and glowing panels, but it represented humanity's best chance against the Valith. Yunwu adjusted the final settings on the machine, his hands steady despite the weight of what they were about to do. "This is it," he said, glancing at Jaemin. "Once we activate this thing, there's no turning back." Jaemin nodded, his jaw tight. He knew the risks. The prototype wasn't just a weapon, it was a gamble. If it worked, it could disable the Valith's shields long enough for humans to strike back. If it failed, the consequences would be catastrophic. Quantum energy was unpredictable, and overriding safety protocols meant risking everything. Sua stepped forward, her tablet in hand. "The linguistic patterns are synced. We've programmed it to target their communication signals first. That should weaken their defenses. Good, Jamin said. Let's run one last simulation before we deploy it. As the team prepared for the test, He-jin was hundreds of miles away, deep in the heart of resistance territory. She had joined Kyung-soo and his group, documenting their fight against the Valith. The rebels were a ragtag bunch, ordinary people armed with whatever weapons they could scavenge, but their determination was unshakable. Kyung-soo paced in front of the group, his voice firm. We hit them where it hurts. Their supply lines, their ships, anything they use to keep control. We don't stop until they leave our planet. He-jin filmed him, her camera steady despite the chaos around her. She admired his courage, but couldn't ignore the fear gnawing at her own heart. These people were risking everything, and she knew the odds were against them. Still, she couldn't help feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humanity could rise above this nightmare. Back at the lab, the simulation results came in. The prototype worked, but only under perfect conditions. Any deviation could cause the system to overload. Yun-woo sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's not ideal, but it's the best we've got. We have to try, Jamin insisted. If we wait any longer, the Valith will crush us completely. Sua looked at him, her expression serious. Are you sure? I'm sure, Jamin replied without hesitation. We don't have another choice. The plan was simple. Deploy the prototype near one of the Valith's smaller ships, and see if it could disrupt their shields. If successful, it would prove that humanity could fight back. But getting close enough to the ship was easier said than done. He-jin and Kyung-soo volunteered to assist. Using their knowledge of the area, they devised a plan to sneak the device into position. Under cover of darkness, they loaded the prototype onto a truck and set out for the outskirts of the city, where the Valith ship loomed like a shadow against the stars. The journey was tense. Every sound made them flinch. Every movement in the distance sent their hearts racing. When they finally reached the drop-off point, He-jin climbed out of the truck, clutching her camera. She wanted to capture every moment not just for posterity, but as proof that humanity still had a fighting spirit. Kyung-soo stayed behind the wheel, keeping the engine running. Be quick, he whispered. If they spot us, we're dead. He-jin nodded and followed Jamin and Yun-woo as they carried the device toward the ship. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with energy, and the air crackled with static. It was unnerving, but they pressed on, driven by desperation. When they were close enough, Yun-woo activated the prototype. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Sua monitored the readings from her tablet, her eyes glued to the screen. It's working, she murmured. Their shield is weakening. Suddenly, alarms blared from the Valith ship. Lights flashed, and figures emerged from the craft, moving swiftly toward them. We've been spotted, Jamin shouted. Shut it down, and let's go. But Yun-woo hesitated. Not yet. If we pull back now, we'll lose the window. We don't have time to argue, Jamin snapped, grabbing the device. With a final surge of energy, the prototype overloaded, sending a burst of quantum energy rippling outward. For a brief moment, the Valith's shield flickered and vanished. Now! Jamin yelled. And they ran. Behind them, the Valith scrambled to restore their defenses. Explosions erupted as human forces launched a surprise attack. Taking advantage of the temporary weakness, rockets soared through the sky, striking the alien ship with precision. Cheers erupted from the resistance fighters as the tide began to turn. He-jin stumbled into the truck, breathless and exhilarated. Did you see that? She gasped. We actually did it. Kyung-soo grinned, slamming his fist against the dashboard. Back at the lab, the team celebrated cautiously. They had proven that humanity could fight back. But the victory was bittersweet. The prototype had worked, but it had also pushed their technology to its limits. Scaling it up for larger attacks would require even greater risks. Jaemin stared at the damaged device, his mind racing. We need to refine this. Make it stronger, more stable. But to do that, we'll have to push even further. Eunwoo frowned. Pushing further means deactivating all remaining safety measures. If something goes wrong, I know, Jaemin interrupted, but we can't afford to hold back anymore. The Valith think we're weak. It's time to show them otherwise. Sua placed a hand on his shoulder. We're with you. Whatever it takes. As the team regrouped, Haejin uploaded her footage to the internet, sharing the story of humanity's defiance with the world. The video went viral within hours, inspiring millions. People who had once felt powerless now saw a glimmer of hope. Kyung-soo watched the reactions from a safe house, his expression grim but determined. This isn't over, he said. Not by a long shot. Jaemin echoed his sentiment. Humanity had taken its first real step toward reclaiming its future. The road ahead would be dangerous, but for the first time since the Valith's arrival, the impossible seemed within reach. The success of the prototype marked a turning point. For the first time, humanity had struck back at the Valith and survived. But the victory was fragile. The aliens were no longer underestimating humans, and their response was swift and brutal. Cities that had been spared before were now targeted with relentless force. The skies burned orange as ships descended like vultures, raining destruction on anything that moved. Jaemin stood in the lab, staring at maps spread across the table. Red dots marked areas where the Valith were concentrating their attacks. His team worked tirelessly around him, refining the prototype into something stronger, more reliable. They called it Project Eclipse, a system designed to disable the Valith's shields on a larger scale. But every improvement came with greater risks. Each test pushed the boundaries of what their technology and the planet could handle. Eunwoo wiped sweat from his brow, his hands dirty from hours of tinkering. If we deactivate all the safety protocols, we can amplify the quantum energy tenfold, he said, pointing to a set of equations scrawled on the whiteboard. But if something goes wrong, we'll lose everything. Sua finished for him. Her voice was calm but heavy with worry. She glanced at Jaemin, searching his face for reassurance. Jaemin didn't answer right away. He stared at the board, weighing the cost of failure against the price of doing nothing. Finally, he spoke. We don't have a choice. If we don't take this risk, we won't survive. Reen. Sua nodded reluctantly, her resolve hardening. Then, let's make sure it works. Meanwhile, Haejin and Kyung-soo led a guerrilla campaign against the Valith. Their group had grown, swelling with volunteers eager to fight back. They operated in small cells, striking quickly and retreating before the aliens could respond. Haejin documented every raid, capturing footage of resistance fighters armed with scavenged weapons and homemade explosives. Her videos became symbols of hope, spreading across social media and inspiring others to join the fight. One evening, after a successful ambush on a supply convoy, Kyung-soo gathered the group around a makeshift campfire. Flames danced in his eyes as he addressed them. They think they're gods, he said, his voice low but fierce. But we've shown them they bleed just like us. Keep hitting them where it hurts. Show them we're not afraid. Haejin filmed the moment, her camera steady despite the fatigue etched on her face. These people weren't soldiers, they were ordinary men and women, driven by desperation and courage. Yet together, they were becoming something extraordinary. That night, as the group rested, Haejin received a message from Jaemin. It was short, but urgent. We need your help. Bring Kyung-soo. The next morning, Haejin and Kyung-soo arrived at the lab. The atmosphere was tense, charged with anticipation. Jaemin greeted them at the door, his expression grim. We're ready to deploy Project Eclipse on a larger scale, he explained. But we need someone to get it close to one of the main Valith ships. That's where you come in. Kyung-soo crossed his arms, his jaw tightening. You're asking us to walk straight into the lion's den. It's the only way, Jaemin replied. If we can disable even one of their big ships, it'll give humanity a fighting chance. Heejin stepped forward, her voice firm. We'll do it. The plan was risky. Using a stolen transport vehicle disguised as a civilian truck, Heijin and Kyung-soo would deliver the device to the outskirts of a major Valith stronghold. Once inside range, they would activate Project Eclipse and retreat as quickly as possible. The rest of the resistance forces would launch a coordinated attack to maximize the impact. As they prepared for the mission, Eun-woo handed Kyung-soo a small remote control. This will trigger the device, he explained. Once you're in position, press the button and get out. Don't wait. Kyung-soo nodded, slipping the remote into his pocket. Heejin adjusted her camera, ensuring it was secure. She wanted to document every second of the operation, not just for posterity but as proof that humanity refused to bow. The journey to the Valith stronghold was harrowing. The roads were littered with debris, and patrols roamed constantly. Heejin drove, while Kyung-soo kept watch, his rifle resting across his lap. Every checkpoint made her heart race, but somehow, they slipped past unnoticed. When they reached the drop-off point, the sight of the massive alien ship took their breath away. It loomed above them like a mountain, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Heejin swallowed hard, gripping the steering wheel tightly. "Let's do this," she whispered. They parked the truck and carried the device to the designated spot. As Kyung-soo set it down, Heijin filmed the scene, her hands trembling slightly. "For everyone who's lost," she muttered under her breath. Kyung-soo activated the device and pressed the remote. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Lights flickered on the Valith ship as its systems struggled to cope with the interference. Then, with a deafening roar, the shield collapsed entirely. "Go!" Kyung-soo shouted, grabbing Heejin's arm. They sprinted back to the truck, tires squealing as they sped away. Behind them, explosions lit up the sky as resistance fighters launched their assault. Rockets soared through the air, striking the exposed ship with devastating force. Heijin clutched her camera, filming the chaos. Cheers erupted from the resistance fighters as the alien ship faltered, its once invincible defenses shattered. For the first time, humanity saw a glimmer of victory. Back at the lab, the team watched the news unfold with bated breath. Footage of the battle spread across the globe, reigniting hope in millions. Jaemin leaned against the wall, his face pale but resolute. "It worked," he murmured. "But this is just the beginning." Eun-woo nodded, exhaustion etched on his face. "We've shown them we can fight. Now we have to finish the job." Sua placed a hand on Jaemin's shoulder. "We will." Together, as dawn broke over the battered city, humanity stood united for the first time in years. The Valith had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. The war was far from over, but for the first time, it felt winnable. The final battle began at sunrise. The sky was painted in hues of orange and red, as if the earth itself was bleeding from the wounds inflicted by the Valith. Humanity had rallied like never before. Resistance fighters from every corner of the globe joined forces, armed with weapons crafted from scraps and determination. In the center of it all stood Jae-min, Eun-woo, and Sua, their hearts pounding as they prepared to deploy the full power of Project Eclipse. The plan was ambitious. Using multiple devices spread across key locations, humanity would target the largest Valith ships simultaneously. If successful, it would cripple the invaders' ability to maintain control over Earth. But the risks were immense. Overloading the quantum energy systems could destabilize entire regions, causing widespread destruction. Jaemin knew this might be humanity's last stand, but he also knew there was no turning back. Heijin and Kyung-soo led separate teams responsible for delivering the devices to their designated positions. Each team carried a prototype, its faint blue glow pulsing like a heartbeat. As they moved through the ruins of cities once thriving with life, He-jin couldn't help but feel the weight of what they were fighting for. Every shattered building, every abandoned home, reminded her of what the Valith had taken and what humanity was determined to reclaim. Kyung-soo's voice crackled over the radio. Position secured. Jae-min nodded, his hands steady despite the chaos around him. The countdown began. Resistance fighters held their breath as the seconds ticked away. When Jae-min gave the order, the devices hummed to life, their energy rippling outward like waves in an ocean. The Valith ships shuddered violently, their shields flickering and collapsing. Their once confident demeanor cracked as they realized humanity had turned their own technology against them. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as human forces launched their final assault. Rockets streaked through the air, striking the exposed alien ships with devastating force. Cheers echoed among the resistance fighters as one Valith vessel after another fell from the sky, crashing into the ground like dying stars. But the victory came at a cost. The strain on the quantum systems pushed them to their limits. One device overloaded near Seoul, sending a shockwave that flattened buildings and left a crater where a neighborhood once stood. Jae-min clenched his fists as reports poured in, each casualty a reminder of the price they were paying. Yet even amidst the devastation, hope burned brighter than ever. Sua monitored the readings from the lab, her face pale but resolute. "The Valith are retreating," she announced. "Their main fleet is pulling back." Yunwoo let out a shaky laugh. "We did it. We actually did it." Jae-min didn't celebrate. Instead, he stared at the monitors, watching the remnants of the alien ships disappear into the horizon. He knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing up to the Valith, but rebuilding would take years, maybe decades. And the scars left behind would never fully heal. In the days that followed, the world began to pick up the pieces. Survivors emerged from hiding, banding together to rebuild what had been lost. He-jin documented it all, her camera capturing both the pain and the resilience of those who refused to give up. She filmed engineers working tirelessly to repair infrastructure, doctors tending to the injured, and families searching for loved ones among the rubble. Kyung-soo became a symbol of defiance, leading efforts to clear debris and restore order. His once fierce demeanor softened as he worked alongside ordinary citizens, sharing stories of courage and sacrifice. Though the war had changed him, it had also given him purpose. Meanwhile, Jae-min returned to the lab, determined to ensure such sacrifices were never repeated. With Yunwoo and Sua by his side, he began transforming Project Eclipse into something new. A tool not for destruction, but for exploration. They envisioned a future where humanity could reach beyond Earth, joining the stars as equals rather than victims. He-jin published a book detailing the events of the war, titled A New Dawn. It became a global sensation, reminding people of the strength they had shown when faced with impossible odds. Her final chapter ended with a simple message. We are more than survivors. We are dreamers, builders, and fighters. Together, we will rise again. As weeks turned into months, the planet slowly healed. Governments formed alliances, pledging to work together to prevent another catastrophe. Scientists studied the remnants of Valith technology, unlocking secrets that promised to propel humanity forward. And though the scars of war remained, so did the lessons learned. One evening, Jae-min stood on the rooftop of the research facility, gazing at the stars. The night was calm, the city below quiet, for the first time in months. He thought about everything they had endured, the fear, the loss, the triumph, and felt a sense of peace. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger. We'll keep going, he whispered to himself, no matter what. Behind him, Eunwoo and Sua joined him on the roof, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the city lights. Together, they looked upward, imagining a future where humans stood alongside other species, not as inferiors, but as equals. Somewhere in the distance, a child laughed, their voice carrying on the wind. It was a small sound, barely noticeable, but it carried the promise of tomorrow. Humanity had survived the storm, and now it was ready to step into the light,